It's like there's some really massive protests happening in Bolivia right now against the right-wing military coup government that again overthrew the democratically elected leader Hugo Chavez and not Hugo Chavez, Evo Morales and his administration that was backed by the U.S. and these other Western imperial powers. I'll link this article below. Our obligation is to defend democracy. Bolivians joined mass marches against election day delay by right-wing coup government. With threats to postpone America's elections, said one Bolivian journalist, Trump is taking lessons from his puppet dictator in Bolivia, Janine Áñez. Thousands marched during protests against Bolivia's President Janine Áñez on July 28th in La Paz, Bolivia. Originally scheduled to take place September 6th, but Bolivia's Supreme Electoral Tribunal, headed by Áñez appointee Salvador Romero, opted last week to push the election back to October 8th, citing COVID-19 related fears. And this is the actual reason here. Recent polling shows Áñez trailing both Movement for Socialism MAS candidate Luis Arce and conservative Carlos Mesa. The decision to delay elections sparked immediate backlash from the Bolivian left. Former President Evo Morales, amazing individual, who was ousted in a military coup last November, accused the Áñez government of botching its response to the coronavirus pandemic and warned that the postponement of the election date will only cause more suffering for the Bolivian people, again, because they're living under this brutal right-wing military dictatorship that is propped up by, the U.S. And other Western powers and, these multinational corporations like Tesla. We had Elon Musk, I think it was last week, admitting that he played a part and would support any coups wherever they wanted in the world. It's disgusting. On Tuesday, at least 5,000 Bolivians took part in a massive demonstration in El Alto organized by the Bolivian Workers' Center, the country's largest trade union federation. Again, we heard reports that if this election did in fact get delayed again, this is for the third time that these trade unions would organize, some direct action to try to force this disgusting right-wing military government to stop that. Let's see. Let's check out this video. I don't think there's any sound. Yeah, no sound. But here it is. Thousands of Bolivians have taken to the streets to protest against the postponement of elections and against the regime that came to power last year after a U.S.-backed military coup that ousted Bolivia's first indigenous president and Evo Morales. Again, all solidarity with the people in Bolivia, fighting against this right-wing military unelected government that came to power in a coup that has, the support of the just disgusting U.S. empire and these other, imperial Western interests. The election date of September 6th must be respected. Mining leader Lucio Padilla told AFP, our obligation is to defend democracy. Bolivian unions are threatening to launch a general strike. That's awesome. If the tribunal refuses to allow the presidential election to take place at September 6th as originally scheduled. If this council is not heard, said COB Executive Secretary Juan Carlos Horachi, the indefinite general strike begins. That's awesome. Bolivia's COB Workers Federation announces a 72-hour deadline to retract decision to postpone elections. A general strike and road blockages begin Monday in all 9 departments if the deadline isn't met. Wow, that's amazing. Por eso es que el día de hoy, la expresión del pueblo boliviano le dice basta carajo, hasta aquí, porque le estamos dando un plazo de 72 horas. And again, it has nothing to do with public health or the coronavirus. It has to do with the MAS candidate, the Movement Towards Socialism, which Evo Morales' party, I believe it's his former finance minister who is running. It's because he's leading in the polls by a wide margin and would win on the first ballot. That's why the right-wing, imperial supported Agnes Coup government is wanting to postpone this elections for the first time. It all has to do with staying in power and trying to, wreak as much havoc as they can. Bolivian journalist Oliver Vargas wrote in the socialist magazine Tribune on Tuesday that while October 18th is a new date for Bolivia's presidential contest, civil society has lost faith that it will be respected. Bolivia shows how the ideologues of the free market are more than happy to toss out any semblance of democratic growth they feel threatened. It's exactly what happened with the coup that overthrew Evo Morales. It also exposes the true character of interventionist governments like the US and the UK in their international affairs to promote democracy. If the rest of us want to ensure that their coup in Bolivia doesn't result in the end of democracy for good, those demanding free and fair and immediate elections will need all of our solidarity. After U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday threatened to postpone America's presidential elections, Vargas tweeted that Trump has taken lessons from his puppet dictator in Bolivia. If behind in the polls, Vargas tweeted, cancel election on the basis of the pandemic, you're doing nothing to tackle. For sure. On point. All solidarity with the, with the working people in Bolivia, with the indigenous people there. Evo Morales was the first indigenous leader of Bolivia and really looked out, for their rights and interests and just the working class in general, the working people in general. Had a huge reduction in poverty and extreme poverty, increased their GDP, and a number of really just positive, things happened under Evo Morales' tenure as leader there, and it just needs to be condemned in the strongest terms. It's hugely disgusting that the U.S. and these other Western imperial powers are propping up this right-wing military dictatorship, more or less. All solidarity with the people of Bolivia. Peace. Much love.